Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Chiké Okonkwo about Brea on NBC. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
One of my favorite things about this show that makes me kind of not stop, I can't stop watching this show because I'm a big fan of the fact that this show kind of throws the genre away. This really is a genre-bending show. It's one of those shows where it's like, what am I watching in the best way possible? Do you notice that when you're reading the scripts for the show as well, that it really is a lot of genres in one?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And it's one of the things that really initially attracted me to the show because quite frankly, I'd just never seen anything like it on TV before. And of course, it alludes to certain things. It's a little like, people make the Lost comparison.
Yeah.
But to have the time travel element, the mystery, the cast of characters that we've gotten to know so well now over the course of a season and a half, that was the thing that really, really made me go, yeah, let's just go and see what this is like. Let's sort of strap in and take the ride.
What is the mindset when a show is announced that it's returning for season 2? Is it kind of like, I just want to see where the story goes, or are you focusing on specific characters? Or is it a little bit of both? Because I feel like that mindset of, a show coming back for a sophomore season is really cool from an acting storyteller perspective.
It absolutely is. And, I have to give David Applebaum, the show's creator, a lot of credit because he's good at a great number of things, but one thing that he's absolutely brilliant at is just seeding ideas for what might come next. And so even though I hadn't read a bunch of scripts for season 2, I did have some idea of where we were headed. And I was so excited about the ideas and just the direction the show was going in, because it's so different to where we were, at the beginning of season 1. So for me, it was exciting to just hear about where the characters were going, how the character relationships were going to develop. And as we've seen, if you've seen the first half of season 2, it's been really, really just epic, quite frankly. It's been an epic way to sort of expand this world.
I feel like character arcs, and Brea is a perfect example of this, Chiké, because I feel like you look at a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies, and you talk, and you're like, you get out a movie that's an hour and a half, so to speak, and you say, wow, this character really grew from the start of the movie to the end of the movie. You watch a TV show, and you say, wow, this character really grew this season over 8 episodes. Brea is like, wow, this character really grew in a 20-minute scene in an episode. I'm just curious what you think about the kind of extensive arcs of a lot of these characters in Brea, especially in season 2 with the time travel and everything you talked about as well. What do you think about the arcs, the extensive arcs?
Well, this is one of the great strengths of the show is that, of course, we really do focus on the Harris family. They're the family that have been trying to get back to each other for, all these episodes we've been watching. And at the mid-season finale, they make this decision to go back and basically do something that's for the greater good. They're finally back together. They're finally somewhat safe, but they feel like they have to go and do this for the greater good, which is a great thing to put into a drama. And so it's been lovely to see that arc of their desire to get back to one another and how important family is, but then also how important their chosen family, their new family, or not even chosen, the family they have down in the clearing in 10,000 BC, and then, the wider world. So that's, their arc has been one thing, but there are other arcs, as we get to know each of the characters more. One of the arcs I really love is Lucas, played by Josh McKenzie, who he's this sort of renegade kid. I know lots of people who are a bit like him, and we really have watched as the beginning of the season 2 has sort of started. We watched him sort of come into his own, and as we start the mid-season premiere tonight at 8 Central on NBC, and you can catch it on Peacock as well. But as we get into as we get into these next episodes, Josh McKenzie, his character Lucas, really starts to come into his own. I don't want to spoil anything, obviously, but I think it's a nice thing to see. That's one of those journeys that's been really, really marked since the beginning.
I like your character's journey. I like, Riley's journey, played by Veronica St. Clair. There's a lot of characters that have these not clear-cut kind of journeys where there's obstacles no matter what they do. So you agree with me when I say that there's quick growths of these characters within episodes rather than a season, right?
Yeah. We had it with Ty. Like Ty's a thinker. He's a thinking man. And in, I think it was the mid-season finale, he's fighting, a big warrior, and he's having to lean into these other aspects of himself, being a leader and a warrior, which he has never really had to do before. So for me, that was really exciting because it's just fun to use a spear and get in a fight with a brilliant actor like Martin Sensmeyer. So yeah, it's been really good fun to sort of to play those beats.
I'm going to ask you a question and then explain what I mean, because it seems it would be kind of like a very like out there vague question, but like, are you conscious of the type of audience member that is watching La Brea? And what I mean by that is you have active TV viewers, I like to call them, that have to be dialed in and play detective the whole time. And then you have passive ones who are able to come home after a long day of work, right? Order some pizza, just have it on in the background. I feel like La Brea is not that show. I feel like if you don't pay attention, you're going to miss something. Are you conscious after you wrap like certain episodes, Chiké, that you're on a show where the audience member kind of has to be like a detective on the ride with the characters? Like, I'm curious about that.
Yeah, it's funny because honestly, so we filmed the show in Australia, so we're very far away when we're filming. And then getting back to the States, I got back from filming season 2, actually the morning of Thanksgiving. And I was here in New York City, and I decided to go to the parade. And it was lovely because the parade is so much fun, but then also it's lovely because there's so many people around, and so many people say, this is my favorite show. And people always ask, what's going to happen to such and such? And I'm like, I don't know, or I can't tell you. So it's nice to know that we're in a show that people really, really feel connected to and some ownership over. I haven't delved into the subreddits or anything yet, so I don't know what any of the.
There are so many. You know what I think? It's so funny. Look at all these shows, right? You even look at maybe not La Brea, like the shows that are like spin-offs or like reboots of shows. Everyone wants to know who's related to everyone, right? You all notice that? Like maybe this character is her grandson or something like that. Like everyone always goes back to the family tree. Which I find is so funny with those. No, it's great. The La Brea fans are very passionate. And one of the things too, one of my kind of duties running a media outlet, Chiké, is you want to see what's out there. You want to see the fans that are out there. And I can tell you that I'm very impressed by the La Brea fan base, because it's a very committed fan base that's there for the whole show and they want episode after episode, but it's a very attentive fan base. Nice. And they kind of see things that sometimes I miss in everything. You know what I mean? Which is really interesting. But I feel like, do you ever have conversations with the other castmates or like the writers or the showrunners about how detailed some of it actually is? Because these worlds that are created, like you might blink and like miss something in an episode of La Brea if you're not paying attention.
This is true. And again, massive props, not just to David Applebaum, but to the whole writing staff, and actually we were so lucky that for every episode, we had a writer there on set. So when we had some of those questions of and then there's an answer, which is like, oh, right, I didn't see that. So it's nice to be in a collaborative space like that. And it's the joy of La Brea. It's a very special thing.
Chiké Okonkwo is a storyteller. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Is your favorite thing about storytelling diving in all these different worlds? Is that one of the best things about it?
I think I'm really lucky in that I found this profession, or really this pastime, this joy that I found in telling stories from a really young age. Yeah. And so I have always, since, I don't have memories where I wasn't trying to tell stories, wasn't trying to entertain in some way, shape or fashion. And to be able to do that professionally and to do it as much as I do is a real joy. And then to be able to delve into a show like this, or some of the other work that I've done, is great, because the biggest skill you need really is imagination. Yep. It's to really put yourself back in that childlike state and really imagine what it might be to be in that situation. So that's been, again, a huge joy of doing this job, because it's basically what I've always loved doing.
I want to go back to your first kind of statement in this interview, which I find very interesting, about the fact that there's a lot of elements of season 2 that are a lot kind of different in terms of what we talked about, the arcs and the storylines and everything compared to season 1. And I really like that you said that. So I'm wondering if you can kind of, we're walking on eggshells, one of the big spoilers. What are some of the new kind of elements of season 2 that you're really enjoying from an acting storyteller perspective that weren't in season 1? Like, I'm just curious about that.
Well, the biggest element is the futuristic element that we've encountered now in this very prehistoric time. So season 1 was basically all 10,000 BC, especially for the characters who are in the hole. Of course, there was a modern timeline as well, but for the people who were in 10,000 BC, it was saber-toothed tigers and dire wolves and trying to work out how to survive. And now, having found this very futuristic building that we found at the end of the first half of the season 2, we get to delve really deep now into why that building's there, what it's there for, what possibly could happen. And the importance of that building is, I think, key to why we're all there in the first place. Honestly, there's no spoiler because I still don't know what that even really means. But it is nice to know that there is this mystery surrounding why this very futuristic building would be there in 10,000 BC.
That's really well said. The mystery component of it is something that I really enjoy. It's funny because, you know, you see trailers for the Brea and like TV spots, right? I feel like to really understand what is happening and what is going on, you really have to like tune in and find out, right? Like someone might see a clip and it's like, what is going on here? And it's like the perfect plug. Like, watch the show.
Yeah, 100%. It's great. Like when you're in LA or New York, you know, there's billboards everywhere, and people often say, "I've seen the billboard," but yeah, you can't really get a grasp of what the show is.
I've seen the mammoth.
I've seen the mammoth, right? Exactly. But until you turn it on, you can't really get a grasp for it. And what I really hope people take from it is just that it's a show made with a lot of love by some great people, and that it's an entertaining ride for an hour every Tuesday. But actually, you get 2 episodes tonight, so for 2 hours tonight if you tune in.
Absolutely. Chiké, thank you so much for your time. It was really great chatting with you.
Of course, and you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so the new episodes tonight, and then they can check that out. And now season 2, like the second half, goes until like the end of February, I believe, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Maybe into the first week of March, but
yeah,
we have 7 more episodes. So
there's so much, man, and it feels it's crazy to think about that because I feel like so much has happened in like 2 episodes.
Exactly, and so much will continue to happen.
Instagram, is that the best way for people to keep up to date with everything?
Absolutely, yeah. Chiké _Okonkwo.
Amazing. Well, this has been Pop Turn. If you do.com/PopTurn for previous episodes, you can of course catch Chiké in La Brea on NBC. Until next time, it's Chiké and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.